It is Wednesday. We are wizards, and it's time for Wizard Wednesday, channeling in with quantum style through the quantum downs. This is Elf.
And Dota.
And Bear Snake is actually not here today. Bear Snake is busy knocking on doors in New York City this week. Um, but Dota, I just remembered something super hilarious when I saw your PFP. Do you remember last year when your wizard was burned and then we opened Wizard Wednesday pretending like you had died and we did like a whole eulogy? And then and then you came in with your angelic PFP and we're like, oh my god, it's Dota back from the dead.
Yeah. Surprise,
Yeah.
suckers. You're not getting rid of me that easy.
That shit was classic. I totally forgot we did that until I saw your PFP. Yeah, you guys should go listen to that Wizard Wednesday. It was God. It's almost a year ago. I can't believe it's been over a year since we launched. But
Wow.
um,
And even then, it wouldn't have been surprised to see a founder rug just a few months
yeah,
after. So,
totally.
there's that element of believability. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we've got a big show today. We're gonna talk about the Halloween event that we've got coming up. I mean, that's really the big item. But before we get to that, I don't even know if we have any other updates to give. Do we? Um,
Bear Snake right now is, I think he's at Comic Con NYC. So, a lot like what we had at the party, and then also at Comic Con San Diego. We've got a whole street team of people decked out in like wizard costumes, wearing cloaks with like runes on them, handing out the comic books. So yeah, I think it's still edition zero, but there's still a lot of people who haven't seen the book yet. So we're super excited to kind of get that in more people's hands.
there are still millions of people in the world who don't know what Forgotten Runes is, believe it or not. So
Yep.
we're going to continue with that. um, yeah, and then just I don't know, a couple of other things just off the top of my head that are super exciting is 3D stuff. Our, I'm just so excited about 3D. I know I always say it, but it's going to open a whole new world once we get these 3D characters done. And again, it's not just being able to deploy these 3D characters into 3D metas, but I think there's massive lore and storytelling potential with these things. There's the meme content I think is going to blossom once these things are done. I don't know, Dota, if you want to say anything else on that.
Yeah, I'm antsy to get them out. Well, I think like I've tried to learn more 3D this year. Like I don't know, if you're somewhat technical and like it interests you, I think learning Blender is a really good use of time. Blender actually lately has gotten a lot better. So if you kind of like follow the history of sort of 3D modeling software, Maya really was like kind of the Photoshop, this sort of like um, you know the king of the hill, that like really if you wanted to kind of learn to do 3D modeling, you sort of had to learn Maya, and it was extremely expensive. They kind of had all the tools that you needed. And so I think one of the things we've been seeing, I mean, Elf, you're more of an expert at this than I am, but we've been seeing more and more teams like learning Blender and being able to use it for real work. It's really a success story in terms of open source being able to kind of like catch up to proprietary software. um, and one of the things that I think is super fun to do with Blender is like geometry nodes and shader nodes. So one of the things that's cool about like learning Blender is just like completely overwhelming when you first get into it because there's so many different options. But um, the tutorials are getting much better. And one of the great things about using well, like the nodes based system is you basically can have like little boxes with like connections that you can drag around, and you can create these like really sophisticated geometries, right? Like you could create a whole little character in 10 or 15 minutes, and maybe rig it in another hour or so. I mean, it's not going to be like elf level quality, of course, that takes days and days, but to be able to just sort of like get the basic competency under your belt, I think Blender is super fun. It's really good. So I think, I'd encourage anybody who's interested to start learning those skills now because it's going to be really fun once we have the models.
Yeah, and we put out a call, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, for anyone who already knows 3D software if they would like to have their wizard character prioritized. And I just want to say, yeah, I got all of your DMs and we've put your characters at the front of the queue, so they're in production.
And
Um,
I think there's like a lot that we want to do with it too. Like, um, well, for example, well, it's just like so much, right? So you can like, unlike pixel art where you have to draw all four sides, with 3D you just move the camera. Unlike pixel art where if you want to like stretch or squish the characters, you basically have to repaint all pixels. Whereas with 3D, you can apply transforms and then they can like appear in different sorts of situations. And so, whatever, they take a million years to create, and they're really expensive and it's hard to execute on. It's hard to do them well, but like the possibilities are just endless, and it's just almost it's just going to be such a dynamic representation for each of these characters.
yeah, in the Secret Tower, Feckless is asking, will the 3D models have animations attached or just T-posed? So I'm pretty sure they'll have animations. I mean, maybe the V1 will just be T-pose, but yeah, I mean, we want to make all these different tools that you will be able to apply animations. You will be able to run around with game controls in like a little 3D world. This is just part of what we're talking about. Like, just you're going to be able to do so much with these 3D models, and yeah, we definitely want to have animations that you can attach to them.
Yeah, the way, like, kind of at a high level, what you have with 3D models is, let's say, three major parts. So the first part would be what would be called like the model proper, or like the geometry. And so the geometry is like the set of like polygons that kind of make up the shape of the character. And so you see this a lot of times where it's just this like matte gray color on just, this grid world, and that's just like the model. The second part is the texturing, and so the texturing would be where you kind of, let's say, put color onto those polygons of being it. That's where you're able to like color in, so that way you can see, hats and hands and lips and whatever. And then the third part would be the bone structure, and so this is often referred to as rigging. Rigging would be like you have these bones which are in a humanoid form in this case, and then you put constraints on them, right? Like, oh, I don't want the elbow or the knees to bend backwards, right? Because his like arm isn't broken, so we want to make it easier to animate. And so the rigging is the process of attaching the bones onto basically the geometry, so that like when the character folds their arm in, right, you don't get any sort of like weird bending or like overlap or like glitches in the character. So these characters that we're doing, all 10,000 wizards and eventually warriors, will have all three of those things. And oftentimes you have different people on the team work on it, right? So you do concept, then you have somebody who does the modeling of the shapes, then you have somebody else who does the texturing, and then you have somebody else who does the rigging. And so, yeah, at the end of this, basically, with a set of kind of artists and code and magic, we'll have all of that for the entire collection. So you can use it in video games. It'll be optimized, um, artwork, of course, and yeah, and we plan to.
And the Impy Shake will probably be the first animation you
Yeah,
apply to any character.
exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's one of the other fun things is that like, because all of the characters will share. Okay, the way that it works. I don't know if this is interesting, but whatever. We have time. The way that the animations work is typically you apply animations onto a skeleton. And so, because all of the characters will effectively share the same skeleton, more or less, um, you create the animation once, right? Which is swinging a sword, doing the impy shake, and then all of the characters kind of get that movement, like let's say automatically. So yeah,
Yep, yep. It'll be a whole new 3D world, and we got a ton of fun ideas for it. But it's still a few months away. But it's coming along.
yep,
Um, in the meantime, I guess let's talk about Trick or Treat. I'm not sure if we have any other updates.
yeah, sure. Um, yeah, so I just wrote a blog post. I'll push this out. So, well, I don't, Elf, I don't want to steal a thunder. Please go ahead.
Well, yeah, I think I just spilled it. It's going to be Trick or Treat. It's Trick or Treat at the Nightmare Imp's house. There's the technical, there's the lore, there's the aesthetic. I'll let Dota describe the technical, um, and there's even like the philosophy behind it. But I just top level is you will be able to come to our website and you will be able to knock on the Nightmare Imp store, and he will give you a trick or a treat. Um, Let me stop there and let me have Dota describe the sort of the
Yeah.
mechanics.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so this Halloween, all Forgotten Runes holders and 10 other blue chip communities, you will all be invited to come and to knock on the Nightmare Imp's door for trick or treat. So here, can I share that image that you made in the Secret Tower?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, great. Um, and so the 10 other communities that can join us will be 10 other blue chip projects, right? So this would be Punks, Bored Apes, Doodles, Cool Cats, Azuki, Clonex, Moonbirds, Loot, World of Women, 10 KTF if your 10 KTF token is crafted only, and then of course like Wizards, Warriors, and Souls, right? So here's what happens. Between Friday, October 28th and October 31st, you'll be able to knock on the door on the Castle of the Nightmare Imp, and you'll receive a token airdrop of either a trick or a treat. Okay, so the treats will be a treasure box from the Nightmare Imp himself, and most of these treasure boxes will contain a storytelling item from the Runiverse. So we will be having a new collection of about it's a collection of ERC 1155s, and there'll be about 100 items in this sort of first season of items of varying rarity, right? And your box will contain one of them. So the treasure boxes will contain, one of these 1155s. The treasure boxes also might contain a treat, which you could exchange for a free wizard, a free warrior, a free pony, and there will be a few small number of golden candies that you'll be able to use to forge a gilded warrior weapon. Now, one of the things that's actually really important to know about golden candies is that they won't have a spell, right? So if you recall, when we burn locks to gild a warrior weapon, the spell that was used on the lock actually gives you, this like the spell, let's say, background animation. And so when you get a golden candy, those spell background animations will be exclusive to lock burners. So you can, but with these candies, you can still get an animated gold weapon. It'll just be the weapon, just the weapon. So yeah, so that would be the treats, and the tricks. Well, the tricks will be a surprise. Know that they are completely non-destructive, and they include a token as well. So you'll have to just come and see what the tricks are on the day of the event. So yeah, you want to add anything there? I can talk more about the mechanics.
Yeah, one mechanic Warder is asking about is well, let me just answer. You can knock on the door for as many characters as you have. If you have 5 wizards, you can knock on the door with all 5 of your wizards. Um, if you have one soul, you can knock on the door once with your soul.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah, go ahead, Dota.
Yeah, so this is by token. So okay, so you can knock at the door once per token that you hold for each collection, and that includes the partner collections. Though we'll get through the details. One of the questions is, what are the odds of a trick or treat? Okay, so souls automatically get 2 treats. If you have a soul, you automatically get 2 treats when you knock. When I say automatically, one of the kind of like consequences of this drop is it is a claim, right? There are some airdrops we've done in the past and some airdrops we will do in the future that are automatic, right? They just appear in your wallet, and you don't have to do anything. So, for example, the next airdrop that I have planned will be like that. One of the consequences of this, though, that is maybe less than ideal, is that tokens in like pseudo swap or NFTX, those tokens are eligible insofar as like the ERC 721s are eligible to claim, but you have to have the token in your wallet. Like you're not able to. There's no way to claim like out of NFTX for this particular drop. Meaning, like if you have tokens in NFTX that are staked that you want to claim, you'll have to take them out and then put them back in after or whatever. So, souls, whenever you knock on the door, you automatically will receive two treats. If you're a wizard, you'll have an 80% chance of getting a treat. Warriors will have a 50-50 chance of getting a trick or a treat. And all of the partner collections also have a 50% chance of a trick or a treat. Um, yeah, so those would be the odds. The supply for the partner treats will be limited to 1,000 per partner community, and so it's just like regular trick or treat, right? It's first come, first serve till the bowl is out of candy.
Yeah. Yeah, another really fun mechanic that I just want to emphasize is the treats come in a treasure box. And so the reason we're doing this is when you get this treasure box treat, you suddenly have a classic dilemma. Do I open it now or do I trade this mysterious box that I don't know what's in it? Um, so I think that's a really fun mechanic that Cosmo and our team actually came up with. But I don't know
Yep.
if you want to elaborate on that, Doda.
Yeah, it's great. So the way that it will work is that like so yeah, to kind of add to the layers, right? So you'll come, you'll knock on the door, and you'll find out if you get a trick or a treat. If you get a treat, in fact, what you get there is the Nightmare Imp's treasure box, which you don't know what's inside. So effectively, actually, the treasure box will be its own collection. Funny enough, and you can choose, as Elf said, you can choose if you want to open it, and it's immediate reveal. If you choose to open it, that's your option. You don't have to wait for some like reveal at a later date, or if you decide you want to, trade it on OpenSea, you're free to do that. And so, yeah, hopefully that will add a fun mechanic where you can kind of pass them around or savor it or whatever you choose to do. So,
What
um,
What's really fun about this is this was actually a huge discussion in Magic Machine because like I wanted the treat to be immediately viewable. I was likening this to the idea of like when you were a kid and you go trick or treating, you have this huge bag of candy, but then your mom like doesn't let you eat any of it until the next day. And I was like, if you can't even see your treat right away, then it's just a huge wet blanket on the whole thing.
right.
The counter to that though um, is what a lot of NFT projects do is when you mint, you can't see it right away because then that affects the trading. And so we feel like this treasure box thing is like the best of both worlds. You can open it now if you want to be that kid, or you can save it and trade it.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, hats off to Cosmo for this idea of like putting it in an intermediate box. I think that's going to be super duper fun. There's a couple other details that I want to go over. Um, let's see here. So, yeah, we mentioned the communities that can knock. I actually published a blog post. Let me share a link in the Secret Tower in just a second. Okay, so the token is free. You don't have to. It doesn't cost anything, but you do have to pay gas to claim. I think the NFTX pseudo thing. It's like very important to kind of like state intentions here, which is like, I've like we've kind of like investigated this idea around like, do we give airdrops to NFTX stakers? And the case against it is to say like, no, they're just treating the token like a fungible Dogecoin, and they're not writing lore. But then the case for it is this idea that like still these folks are kind of contributing liquidity to our project, and it's important. Like it's actually they're using their liquidity for Forgotten Runes, which is actually better than not having that liquidity. And so they should be rewarded for like participating kind of in that way. And so I definitely don't think that this case of not airdropping the tokens directly to NFTX or SudoSwap stakers is not some sort of signal. It's rather just kind of a consequence of the design of the drop, in just that it's like hard to keep all of the other things that we wanted of like coming to knock on the door, where like you also just get airdropped something that's in a staking protocol, right? And so, um, you know, I guess mostly I just want to say like express gratefulness to people who are hosting something in NFTX. That's fine. We have given airdrops to NFTX in the past, and we will do it again in the future. And it's not like some deeper signal; it's just a consequence of the mechanic. Another question we get is like, what if I don't want to connect my hot wallet? Right. So there's a lot of kind of hacks that happen all the time, and there's a lot of shady websites. Right. You can imagine, for example, our partner collections are like I have a doodle or an ape in my wallet. Like I don't necessarily want to, connect to the Forgotten Runes website because I don't want to get hacked, or I just can't tell if this is the right one or whatever. So we're going to be supporting Delegate.cash. So I don't know if y'all have seen Delegate Cash, but it's basically a protocol where you can. What you basically do is you take your cold wallet, and you still have to connect your cold wallet to delegate.cash, right? There's no way to get around it because at some point you have to like prove ownership. You have to prove ownership with a wallet, like at some point along the process. But the idea with Delegate Cash is that you're able to kind of do your due diligence on Delegate Cash once, and then you say, okay, my cold wallet approves this other hot wallet to claim my airdrops. And so the Delegate Cash is somewhat new, but it's by a team that is very good. And one of the great things about it is there's no upgradability. It's like very very safe. The contracts are very well written, and so the idea is you'll be able to just come and delegate your you can delegate your hot wallet once, and then you don't have to do it again for any sort of like future airdrops and lots of different projects can kind of use the same delegate cash registry. So, I think that there's actually not really a clear winner yet in terms of these like hot wallet, cold wallet delegation services, and I think Delegate Cash has a very good chance of being that service. So, we're happy to kind of be an early supporter of that project.
Yeah, just to reiterate here, the reason we're doing this is because we did get a lot of feedback from people we've talked about this to, and they've expressed that a lot of users who have an ape or a cat or a blue chip NFT will not want to connect their wallet to our trick or treat event. So Dota, his solution is Delegate Cash to address those concerns.
And it should be basically automatic insofar as like if you don't know what I'm talking about or care, like it doesn't like you don't have to use it. It's completely optional. Like you can just show up with your regular wallet, connect. The code will be written by me and Niski and the team, and you're going to be fine. But the idea is that like when people say like, oh, like I don't have any Forgotten Runes. Like, can I trust these guys? Like, right? They don't know us. You can basically say, well, like you can use Delegate Cache, and likewise, when you come in there and connect your wallet with Delegate Cache, it'll basically just look up the delegates automatically and just be like fairly seamless experience. So, yeah. So
There's
that's
a few other technical details I want to get out of the way. Is It's going to be super fun when you log in with your Wizard Warrior Soul or Cool Cat, Ape, whoever. You will see that character walking around in this little environment we are creating. We pixelized all the cool cat. Well, not all the cool cats, but a cool cat. We pixelized a bored ape. We pixelized a moonbird. We pixelized Wagme-san for 10KTF. So there's lots of new like fun characters coming into this. Um, Even the undesirables from the Soul Collection. If you've got a donut, you'll be able to jump around as a donut and knock on the door. Same goes for the coffins and the whatever. Um, Someone asked about is there a time limit for opening these boxes? There is not. You can keep this box for 25 years if you want and never open it. Right, Dota? Am I
that's
am I
right.
correct?
Yeah, no, there's no time limit on opening the box.
Okay, great. People are asking if you can knock on the door as your pony. No, a pony is a pony. They can't knock on doors. um, People are asking, is the gold piece, can that only forge warrior weapons? Yes, only warrior weapons can be forged. Um, and I think that's all the technical questions I see. But I've got a lot of like lore and philosophical things to say about this if there's no more technical questions.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, so I want to get into like we described the what and the how. Now I want to describe the why. Um, so like first of all, why trick or treat? Is it because we just want to do a simple event that copies the IRL event on Halloween? Yes and no. Um, as we always say, things that happen in the Runiverse happen in IRL and vice versa. You know, th- like a rune, simple things are often representative of much more larger, complex things. So the first element in this whole thing is the door. Uh, this is yet another expression of the door theme, which is pervasive in Forgotten Runes. You're going to knock on the door of the Nightmare Imp. Um, second, secondly, why? Okay, what is it that you do in IRL trick or treat? You put on a costume. What are PFPs? Digital costumes. Um, and you could even go so far as what are our physical bodies? They're flesh costumes, and really at the end of the day, nobody knows which identity is the truth. But I digress. So we're inviting everybody to put on their digital costume and knock on the door, and we're not only inviting denizens of the Runiverse, we're inviting all of our neighbors across the Runiverse to knock on the imp's door. So it's also this like really great outreach program. We're trying to get more people into the Runiverse. And that's why we're inviting our friends in the apes and cool cats and doodles and so on. So that's sort of why trick or treat. Then the next question is why the Nightmare Imp? Let's talk about imps. So obviously, we have some green imps in the Wizard and Warrior collection. They're a thing. And some might mistake the imps with kobolds if it weren't for the obvious fact that kobolds are yellow and imps are green. Um, and while we know that all kobolds are clumsy and blundering and uncouth, the imps can be quite mischievous in their own right. After all, the most famous dance in the Runiverse is the Impy Shake. Everybody's copying it. Okay, and then we have the Nightmare Imp. He is the dark side of these imps. He's the Prince of Nightmares. He's the Child of Wrath. The Nightmare Imp commands legions of implings to herald cataclysm. But he still has the heart of an imp, which means he loves tricks and he is not beyond treating those for whom he feels a kinship with. So obviously, Halloween is an important day for the Nightmare Imp. Um, okay, and then the next question would be why treats? Um, this is a really fun component for me. We have a really large vision for the Runiverse. We want it to be a vast and complex ecosystem of tokens interacting with one another. And so in the past, obviously, we've leaned heavily on character tokens because they are the foundation. I'm talking the wizards, the warriors, the souls, and so on. And then, of course, we have a map and a world to play in. And now we want to expand further on the items. Um, Items are a staple in any sci-fi and fantasy expression, be it a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, an RPG video game, a card game, or film, TV, and literature. Just as an example, the entire saga of Lord of the Rings revolves around the One Ring, which is the most important item in all of Lord of the Rings. What would Lord of the Rings be without the One Ring, or what would Lord of the Rings be without Anduril, or the Elven cloaks, or just the thousands of items within Lord of the Rings. Um, so we really just want to explore this item category with this whole trick or treat event. So let me talk about some of the items you can expect. The baseline, of course, would be like food and candy. Candy is a staple of trick or treat, so obviously there's going to be candy given out. Um, and this is sort of a continuation of all the food and the candy items we already have across all of our collections. One may think of the jelly donut, which is sort of like the premier food item of the Runiverse. Um, and while the imp will not be giving out jelly donuts, he certainly has a whole other cadre of foods and candies that he will be giving out. Um, but beyond food and candy, there's also some really fun magical items. There's one brand new super rare potion that he'll be giving out. There's a whole array of tonics, elixirs, and alcoholic beverages he'll be giving out. There's new items for alchemists to play with. There's new magical books that he'll be giving out. Um, there's also many items that are a nod to classic video game power ups. Toru the video ghost will be hovering around observing this event, and I think he's going to have an influence on this thing. There's a bunch of other new items like categories like masks and dolls. There's a new mushroom. Um, I don't want to spoil too much, but it's just this whole new item uh, universe is going to be so much fun. And so, our team is we're thinking about like what these items represent and how they'll be used. And I can say we've got a ton of fun of ideas on how we can add utility to these items in the future. Um, but the most important thing that they can do right now is inspire lore and creativity. And so, yes, your wizard, warrior, or soul may already have an item in their hands in their base NFT. Uh, but most adventurers, they have a whole inventory of items to aid their quests. So your character should not be limited to the single item in their hands. You should have access to a whole plethora of treasures. And so many of these items have enormous storytelling potential. I gave the example of the One Ring in Lord of the Rings, but there's countless examples of this throughout film and literature history. There's the Green Destiny sword in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Um, all the Indiana Jones movies have this some item that he's trying to get, whether it's the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail, the Three Stones, the Skull. Indiana Jones's entire stories are revolved around these items. There's a classic example like the Golden Fleece in Jason and the Argonauts. There's Rosebud in Citizen Kane. There's the Philosopher's Stone in Harry Potter. The whole Marvel movie franchise revolves around the Infinity Stones. I could go on and on and on, but the point is like these items just I think will open up a whole new lore uh, world for all of you to just be creative around. So anyway, those are my initial thoughts about this trick or treat event. I think it's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be so much fun. And I'm like, we've always been so excited to kind of like move into the world of items, because there's just so much that you can do with them, right? So now we'll have like characters, we have creatures, we have items, and I think you can sort of see, like, well, each of these primitives coming together to build bigger and bigger abstractions. But focusing on items for a second, I think what you can expect to kind of see with these treats is, you know, it's not so much like out of the gate that we're saying, oh, all of these treats, you'll be able to use them as some burn mechanic in the future or whatever, right? Like, there's not like some immediate utility, that you're going to know within the first like month of holding these items, right? It's first and foremost an event for fun, for building storytelling tools for storytellers. um, that said, we kind of can't help ourselves. Like, once we have items out there in the world and then we create something new and we need a new mechanic, um like, of course these items are going to kind of get integrated into the things that we build in the future. We always do. And so, yeah, so I'm very excited to kind of introduce these new items. I think that the what you can expect is that the collection will remain somewhat open, insofar as like, I haven't cleared this TJ, but I think we're both assuming this, which is the items that are minted during this event, or that like come from sort of the like let's from the Nightmare Imps treasure boxes. Um, the supply there of those so that's an ERC 55 collection, right? So what that means is that like for any given token ID, there are multiple instances of it that exist. So like the Sacred Flame, for example. What you'll find is that like many people will own copies of the same items. There will be items that are of differing rarity, but we don't intend to release any more supply of those tokens beyond what will be contained within the Nightmare Imps boxes, right? So the supply of those will be fixed, but we do intend to add more items to the item collection, like a season 2 or season 3, right? We envision this collection of items will for sure grow over time by like let's say width in terms of the number of items, though not in depth in the supply of the items that we'll be issuing in this first season. Does that make sense what I'm saying, Elf?
Yeah, yeah. We'll add items to the collection, but I don't think we'll necessarily like duplicate the
Right.
exact items.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. One other thing that I wanted to mention, maybe I mentioned this. We're doing. We have planned um, a I'm building right now. The team is building, working super hard on a crypto on-chain play-to-earn game. So this isn't the Runiverse game. This is a little bit more. Yeah. So it's like an on-chain game. I'll leave it at that. And it's going to be super fun, and It's like one of the most exciting things I've ever built. It's one of the most like complicated smart contracts I've ever written, and it will be a game that has resources. So of course all Forgotten Runes holders will be airdropped these resources for this game. But one thing that's also good for people to know to get out there, which is the partner community members who knock on the Nightmare Imp's door will also receive airdropped tokens for that play to earn game. So if kind of the treasure box, or the chance for a free wizard or warrior isn't sort of enough to tempt them, make sure the narrative kind of gets out there that partners who actually knock on the door will also receive another airdrop in the future. And I think actually maybe actually hearing that as a holder, you might think, well, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, why are we airdropping tokens to outside holders? And I can promise you that it's well crafted in this scenario, because it's a game where there are like resources in the game, and effectively the holders, the people listening on this call, will receive more resources, of course, than someone from an outside community. And it's not like a character where it's kind of be like dilutive against kind of the character of the Runiverse. But it hopefully should be enough to sort of like tempt people to come and play the game. And ideally, they come and play the game, they get invested, and then they like learn more about the Runiverse. They meet our community, they join our Discord, and it's basically like a second attempt to one, just to really have a really fun time, but then also like to get other people who are into NFTs but haven't really looked into Forgotten Ruins as closely as they could have to pull them in. So yeah, make sure that people know that if you knock on the Nightmare Imp's door, you also get our next airdrop, which should be happening before Christmas. If we can ship it on time.
It's funny. I didn't know you were going to announce this second game, but I just don't want people to be confused. This game that Dota's talking about is an entirely separate event from the Halloween trick or treat event. The only connection is that if you're an outside community and you participate in trick or treat, you will be snapshotted to receive a future airdrop.
That's right. Yeah, and that game, we'll talk about it after Halloween and after we make a little bit more progress. And it's not the Runiverse game either. Like, of course, the Runiverse game has its own. Uh, well, there's a whole world there. And in fact, Madotsuki's up here. I don't know if you're ready. I think Madotsuki kind of has his own discussion around uh, October and the Runiverse game. So I think when you're ready, Elf, we can turn it over to him.
Yeah, go ahead. Welcome, Matto.
Yeah, hey, thank you, thank you. So very excited for the event that you have going on. I wanted to also mention that we have, I just released a blog post earlier today on the Runiverse Twitter. You can check it out. We're doing a October lore building event. Essentially, what we're having is we're encouraging everybody to just submit some kind of Runiverse related writing, whether it be a poem, a short story, whatever you'd like. It can be a horrific tale if you want, or it can be a heroic tale if you have a story of maybe perhaps your warrior defeating ghouls and zombies. That's perfectly acceptable too. We're just, we obviously want to keep with the spirit of, rewarding people for creating. And, the Runiverse game is going to be a create to earn game. So we kind of want to push that forward right here as well. So it's going to be for the entire month. You'll be able to submit stories. We have a special commemorative POAP that we're going to be giving to all participants. As long as it's not like, we're going to be kind of judging against spam entries. I think one example I gave is if you put something like, the kobold got scared to death, the end, like that's probably not an entry, but we're not going to be strict about it, right? Yeah, like, not going to be strict about it. If you want to have a story that's like maybe like a paragraph long and it's kind of shows you put work to it, you'll get the NFT. And it's this NFT, no promises that it's anything related, but it's a nice commemorative NFT. And that's for everybody who joins. But we're also going to have everybody who joins is also going to be put into a prize pool raffle where we're going to be giving out merch bags like we have been doing for our previous giveaways. It's going to include a shirt, a sweater, and the Forgotten Wounds tote bag. The supplies on that, I'm still going to run over the numbers for how many we're going to give away, but we're planning on giving away a pretty decent amount. And then there's a third prize pool as well, where we will handpick 3 stories from the contest, and we will have some cult creators that we've picked out who will illustrate those stories. So it's very exciting. I think it's something that we're able to reward community and reward creators within the community. You're free to enter whatever stories you think would be frightening enough. It's like a campfire event. Got to also mention we're having Meeple Dad. He's going to be helping us out with hosting out some lore writing workshops that are spooky Halloween related throughout the month. I'll be posting updates on that as well. We're going to be co-hosting on Twitter Spaces. So if you need any help with coming up with ideas for your stories, feel free to join in. We're going to probably be doing some readings of some stories that are entered in as well. And check our Discord if you want any more information.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Meadow.
Thank you.
Maddo, I have a fun anecdote for you. Dota and I have been talking to a lot of outside partners, sometimes interviews, and whenever we get to the part where we talk about how amazing and creative our cult is, Dota often shares the Book of Lore entry for your wizard because it's just there's so much great art there, and your character is just so developed, and it's just such a great example to share with people.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
We just had an interview. Man, we've been doing interviews like 3 or 4 times a week because we're trying to do, trying to get out there and have more publications write about Forgotten Runes, and Bear has been doing a really great job with our PR folk of lining those up. And so,
Yep.
one of the things that's that it comes to is sort of this idea that people are like, does your community actually like everybody says that their community has storytelling at the core and that they can develop their character, but like, does anybody actually like do it? And we just like both sit forward in our chairs and we're like, yes, of course. And like, we're tripping over ourselves trying to show them examples of the artwork that our community does day in, day out, right? We just like live and breathe it. And it's like, we maybe even get annoyed. We're like, no, really, like you need to look at this. And so like I'll often bring up, Magus Devon of the Quantum Downs and send a link across and be like, no, look, like this character on the left is the pixel art character with the blue hair, and she's got her snake familiar and mushrooms. And then look on the page on the right, and as you scroll down, you can see how there's just like dozens of artwork, and they're like, oh, like this is one artist doing it. And we're like, no, no, no. Like he commissions all these different people. And like, this is just, you know, it's just really this like perfect example of how you can take this core idea of one character and make it iconic by representing it in all these different forms. And so, yeah, Meadow, I use Magus Devin's Book of Lore page like every meeting pretty much.
But,
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I put a lot
but
of
no,
work into
I mean, we've got tons of examples across the community as well.
So many. Yeah. Yeah. We have slides of all of it too.
You guys have supplied us with so much great content, and when we talk to third partners, so it's, the Runiverse would be nothing without the cult.
Yeah.
But
Thank you. I actually just released a new lore page for her this morning. I've been working on for quite a long time. So that feels really good hearing that. I appreciate that so much.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to figure out a better usability for the Book of Lore, because like one of the things that happens is that like even I notice on her page is, the first page has one derivative art, but then you have to flip to the next page to get to like another dozen or so. And I always think like, maybe it'd be like, we probably need to make it all on one big page or something. I don't know. The UI I think needs work, but
The Book of Lore needs a lot of work, and it'll get there.
Yeah,
It'll
to
get
say
there.
the least. Forgotten Punks, you came up. Hi, hello.
Yo, hey, what's going on, y'all?
Yo.
Hey,
It's your
you've
friendly
got a drop
neighborhood
coming up, right?
wizard. Yeah, it's Astro. I just wanted to pretty much talk to you guys about it a little bit. Um, First off, I just want to say thank you, for having me on here. It's a huge honor.
Yeah.
I think it's my first time speaking, so thanks for
Nice.
that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
welcome.
Forgotten Punks is happening this Friday, 5 p.m. Central Time. So please look forward to that. I really just wanted to say thank you to SPZ. It wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for him. He did like all the hard work pretty much on the tech side.
Cool.
So, please show him some love because he deserves it. A super down to earth wizard, but I'm sure most of y'all know that already. And what else? Oh, yeah. So that's pretty much it. If you have a wizard, it will be a free mint one time. So you can get 5 more mints additional on top of that for 0.01. But besides that, guys, I mean, really, I just wanted to give y'all a gift for the cult because y'all have done so much for me. So I kind of just wanted to give back to the community and do something fun because I think the CryptoPunk art style is awesome. And I think, of course, obviously, wizard art is amazing. So just combine the two and bring your Forgotten Punks.
Fun.
I, for one, cannot wait to mint some Forgotten Punks. I'm super excited about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I even have you on my list today. I wanted to call out Forgotten Punks for sure, but then there's so many other great collections with wizards going around. There's of course the Baby Wizards Orphanage, and now I'm seeing a bunch of Baby Wizard farmers. Um, which is just an extra level of beauty and awesomeness. The Baron Court has just some amazing artwork going around. Some like really fun beasts and familiars, and then just the characters that I'm seeing from the Baron Court are just beautiful. I love that collection. And then of course the Heroes of Cumberland. From Maxwell. That mint is still live. Maxwell, or Feckless. I tried to mint 3 more the other day, and the site was frozen. I don't know if it was my browser or the site. I don't know what it was, but I wasn't able to do it. So
The
maybe
Baron Court, and the Baron Court is interesting too because, gosh, I wish maybe someone else can come up and talk about it. But they actually have a staking mechanism where like they have their own NFTX staking pool, and then
we lost you, Dota. Oh, Dota's gone. Oh,
oh dear, hello.
Dota, are you there?
Yeah, I was just
Hello?
saying that like that the Baron Court has its like own NFTX staking pool, and I don't quite understand what it is. So if anybody wants to come up and explain it, I'm like actually quite curious. Yeah.
Yep. I've actually got a ton of other cult content that I want to call out because I didn't get to do it last
Let's
week.
do it.
So I'm going to try to, yeah, I want to get through this because it's just such good stuff I've been seeing lately. Number one, Mester Brown, the Funny Bunny, did this just fantastic, like cutout mask of Nosferatu, and I think you all know how much I love what the Moron Capital crew has done with Nosferatu. So that was awesome. Maddow, speaking of Maddow, not only has Maddow developed for his wizard, but his warrior is just looking amazing. I saw this great commission from Take NFT. Madow's warrior is hilarious. It's got cat eyes or cat ears. It wields a frozen tuna, and it's got a warrior penguin as a companion. I mean, that is a wild warrior for sure. And then I want to just give a shout out to CryptoDonut.world, it's a vacation photo, but he's got the Quantum Downs shirt in the vacation photo, overlooking some runes. It's not Machu Picchu, but it kind of looks like it might be Machu Picchu. I'm not sure. Just some beautiful ruins in the world somewhere. Meeple Dad posted a selfie with his daughter, and they've got the beanies with the Eternal Order, Order of the Eternal Rose on them. Meeple Dad's lore about the rose is just fantastic. And then some from last week that just really caught my eye that I didn't get to give a shout out to was Tanya Del Rio, of course, did this really great kobold little, what do you call it, like a crochet, is that what that is? I'm not sure.
Yeah, crochet, like knitted. Yeah.
Yeah, super cute. And then let's see what else. Oh, Emma did this really hilarious little like short film of her wizard like curing this little slime. I love short pixel films. They're one of my favorite things ever. And then Everyday Runes has been doing some really great stuff. My favorite of all is they did a kobold head with mustard. And I'm just going to say, if you ask anybody what color is mustard, they're
It's
definitely
yellow.
not going to say green. So
Yeah.
I think that's
Yellow.
my. I'm going to rest my case with that one. And then, yeah, those are some of the things that really have been standing out to me lately. Tanya has also been doing some really great Inktober
Oh,
content.
so good.
Yeah, and one thing I learned is she did a drawing of the Kelpie, and apparently the Kelpie's name is Scallop, which I don't know if that's like the official name, but if so, that's a great name for a salt Kelpie. So yeah, just amazing cult content this week and last week. It always just lights up my day seeing the things that you guys do. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm suddenly at a loss for content. Dota, have we talked about
Yeah.
everything today?
I think we covered everything we wanted to talk about today. I just shared all of those tweets up in the shared tweets of the space. As always, I think it's more magical to kind of look at the images themselves. I'll tell you what, that's actually something that I've struggled with as I've talked to some of these other partners and journalists is, is this idea around like how to show, not tell, all of the cult content and all of the work that everyone does here. And so, yeah, well, it actually should be quite easy because all I need to do is just point them to our Twitter feed, which is full of new cult content every single day. So,
Um, okay. Bill Gaines just posted this hilarious GIF in the Secret Tower of a baby wizard riding a turkey. I think Acid Eater drew this, but oh man, that's amazing.
turkey
We need
mounts. Wow.
turkey mounts for sure. So fun.
Uh,
Yeah. Okay. One other quick thing that I think we glossed over with Halloween, just finally another technical thing was so we were talking about future utility for these tokens, but the there are a very small handful of tokens that will have immediate utility, and by that I mean, of course, the gold piece that you can use to forge. So that one will have utility. And just real quick, Dota, do you also need a sacred flame to do the forge, or will the gold piece be enough?
No, you will need a sacred flame. I'll
Okay.
never pass up an opportunity to burn a sacred flame.
Okay, cool.
But you don't need a sacred flame to claim the free tokens, which maybe you were going to talk about that.
Right. Well, yeah, and so then the other treats that will have immediately utility is there's a handful of treats that you will be able to exchange for a wizard, a warrior, or a pony. So if that's utility, then there it is. But everything else, future utility, or maybe no utility at all, like no promises. But it's like an example I can think of from the past is the wizards who were holding keys and the wizards who had spells, like they had utility in terms of opening the beast gate. So there may be future stuff like that, but nothing guaranteed. Lore and story potential is always the core utility of everything in Forgotten Runes. So just wanted to put that out there. Matto, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about a little bit about the Baron Court, because I know Dota brought it up earlier, the staking mechanic they have. I think it's actually pretty cool. I've been keeping up with the project as much as I can, but there's actually a lot going on with it. So I'll try to explain as much as I know. They have their own NFTX pool, and apparently it's warriors with like the desert thematic. So like within the Warriors collection, it's traits that are like very sandy. Those are accepted into that vault, and in return, you kind of get these Baron tokens. And for staking in that vault and accruing those Baron tokens, you can redeem them for like their own collection of tokens. So that, for instance, they had like their own desert familiars that they put out, and then that had its own vault as well. That it was you were able to kind of only be able to get random from that vault. Like you couldn't hand select anything like the other NFTX vaults. So it was pretty much like a mint. Like they use NFTX as like a mint mechanic just by putting your items in the vault and having it randomize what you get from it. And then they also have their own kind of like soul like characters and their own they have like a pile of sand for like their sand and guts for like their undesirable. It's pretty cool. It's kind of like they're building their own like their own ecosystem within the Forgotten Runes, and they're building out that desert area of the Runiverse. So I actually am getting a lot of inspiration for them because I'm kind of building out the northern area of the Runiverse myself in my head, and kind of like I think that's a real great way of like getting that collaborative sense, like because you're getting other people to join in on that story building and getting them rewarded for helping build that story out with you. So I'm actually really interested in what they're doing. I want to dedicate more time to looking at what they're going in. I'm kind of like, every now and then I touch up, see what they're doing, but it's really innovative. I think it's really cool.
It's cool. Very cool. Awesome. Well, everybody here is just the best, and I hope you're excited about Trick or Treat because it's going to be amazing. Anything else, Dota?
No, we're good.
Oh wait, hold on. Give a Hoot has a last minute question. Oh, sorry. Give a Hoot, where'd you go? I was going to let you up. Okay, Give a Hoot. You can DM me if it's an important question, or save it till next time. Okay, this has been Elf, Dota, Maddow, Forgotten Punks, the Baron Court. Oh, there's Give a Hoot. Give a Hoot. Okay. That's okay. I don't mind interrupting.
Give a Hoot's like that.
Hey.
The teacher says class dismissed, and then Give a Hoot raises his hand.
I know. I'm that guy.
In class.
I mean,
what up, Give a Hoot?
It's really not worth, and it's not important, but I was just going to double. I mean, I've been heavy on the Baron Court this past week, and it is absolutely insane. It's so much fun. The lore is out of this world, and right now, part of redeeming familiars is part of this more specific mechanic where you can take familiars and kind of like offer them to these various like burial sites and get back special, unique familiars. And so it's like, I mean, like you said, the art is amazing. It's such a fun mechanic, and I mean, I've written like it's kind of like it's almost like D&D in the way that it writes lore for you. And so like my wizard brought familiars to these burial sites and got back an Ifrit, and like literally the lore wrote itself, and I kind of was just inspired to like write little short stories about how my wizard trekked into the desert and did these things. And so I highly recommend people to check it out because it is really 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 cool. A story within a story, and it's absolutely insane.
Yeah, they have entries on Wikipedia for anybody who's interested. You look at the Baron Court on Wikipedia, and they have tons of they've been updating it really well.
Nice.
Amazing.
One of my favorite things about the Baron Court is I have no idea who's behind it. Does anybody know?
I have no clue, but they have a great artist.
It's it's Battle Mage Bullock, or Bullock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah,
awesome.
Amazing. Yeah, Battle Mage Bullock is I would say a legendary wizard. Okay, anything else, guys?
Nope.
Channeling out from the Quantum Downs. GN, everybody.